in another room, but we meet each other in the same room, and then me and Inez, we are walking with you to the other room. Okay?
Okay.
I can also share the map location of the other room in case someone
Yeah.
is late or you want to join later. So we can do that. All right. So let's start again. Back to Bitcoin. So we started with Bitcoin, and now we are back again a full circle. And why? Because, well, Bitcoin is the hardest asset. We had quite a bit of a pump recently. We had all the news about Bitcoin being being Bitcoin ETFs with BlackRock. That could be one of the reasons. But anyways, so let's speak what is about in the agenda today. So we're going to speak a lot. So we've talked a lot about the Bitcoin core and its properties and how it works. And I also explained why Bitcoin decided to be a network that is very secure, very decentralized. And the trade-off that it had to make was that it cannot process a lot of transactions per minute. You cannot have very high scalability at the base layer. So we're going to talk about Lightning Wallet, and we're going to talk about a whole lot of other innovations that have been happening on the Bitcoin layer. So just give me a second. Yeah. All right. Somehow my screen got stuck. Just give me a second. All right. So now there has been a lot of innovation going on the Bitcoin, while there has been a lot of innovation going on the other blockchains. And we've spoken about that. Sometimes innovation on Bitcoin doesn't get as much publicity, as much news. Partly the reason is that when other projects tend to have a lot of innovation, suppose it's a new blockchain or a new protocol, most of the other crypto projects usually have the creation of a new token, and that gives a lot of funding to other DAOs or other companies or other organizations, which often they use for a lot of marketing. But there are many communities of diehard Bitcoin developers. So before I go on to talk about the innovation there, I'll speak a little bit about the ethos of Bitcoin. So most Bitcoin developers, I cannot tell for all, they have a consensus agreement that they want to keep the base layer simple and robust, because Bitcoin is going, if the idea that Bitcoin is going to be the alternate money layer or the reserve currency layer of the world, it has to be something that's very robust. It cannot be too much experimented on. You cannot afford to have it broken. So the consensus is that the base layer of Bitcoin will be very simple. Sometimes there are some upgrades, like recently there was a Taproot upgrade that I will be explaining about. But those upgrades are only minimal, and so that the developments can start to take on the other higher layers of Bitcoin. And that's why the philosophy here is that Bitcoin must scale in the layer twos, layer threes, other layers, and all the applications on top of it. And second philosophy is that don't any new product, any new technology over Bitcoin. Most of these projects do not believe in creating new tokens. Why? Because we have seen a lot. What happens is that when a new token is created, it creates leads to the rise of a lot of speculation, creates a bubble, creates a hype. You spend a lot on marketing, and then a lot of people get burned after that, and that actually negatively affects the project. So the philosophy in Bitcoin development is that Bitcoin is the core currency. Use whatever products you develop, focus on using and strengthening Bitcoin rather than creating new coins. That's not exactly the philosophy which has been followed, say, in Ethereum or other layers of Ethereum. Every new layer on Ethereum, like Matic or so on, has their own token. So then you need to use, it's like a second blockchain on top of Ethereum. It's just a different philosophy there. And then the next philosophy of Bitcoin is that we do not need to have too many blockchains. In fact, the idea or the consensus is that, okay, focus on having the core blockchain, that's Bitcoin, strengthen it. And although there are certain projects I'll discuss which present other kinds of blockchain like structures, but blockchain is not the only way to achieve decentralization. There is many other ways, such as peer-to-peer networks and other forms of decentralized data storage systems and so on, that can achieve a lot of scalability. Because blockchain basically means every person, every node has to have a history of the entire transaction, entire communication of the entire network, which is quite quite a cumbersome process. So that's the Bitcoin ethos. Now, the question here is that the internet has grown in layers. We all know that. In fact, this is what I studied in my first year of engineering, the TCP/IP layers, and I was quite fascinated that how the development took place. But what is interesting is that the OSI model started in the 60s, and the HTTP application layer only got developed in the 90s. And even then in the 90s, early 90s, it was not very clear what would be the function of the internet, because you couldn't envisage all of the business models that would come on top of the higher level layers. But Bitcoin is also evolving in a sort of a similar way. It is evolving as the internet of money. So the base layer is having a very hard currency that is getting solidified. And then you have the other layers, that, particularly the lightning layers that I'm going to be talking about. And then there will be loads of applications, which I'll be discussing, which are only beginning to be developed right now. So I think this, we can clearly see a connection between development in layers and how, what kind of implications it has. Now, one of the most prominent innovations on the Bitcoin network is the Lightning Network, because for a long time, when the Bitcoin blockchain was developed, its community ensured that no, we don't want to increase block size because that will affect decentralization. So we want to maintain block sizes as small. And the idea, the Lightning white paper was published in 2014 or 2015, and then first implementations only got done in 2017. So for a long time, many projects simply said that Bitcoin is too slow. We are going to make a faster blockchain. And most of those blockchains today, they are not even heard about because most of them disappeared. But the ethos of the Bitcoin community was that you need to have the second layer approach to scalability of Bitcoin. And this is actually quite different from the second layers on other blockchains. For instance, Matic or Optimism on the Ethereum. They are also, they have a different protocol. They have a different philosophy. So let me try to explain a little bit about how the Lightning Network works, because then with the technical information, you'll be able to appreciate what is the unique characteristics of this. So a Lightning network essentially starts with any two people opening a payment channel. So let me give an example. I can see only Florbella's video, so I will give an example that say Florbella, you have half Bitcoin here, and I have 1 Bitcoin, and we have that balance reflected on our base layer of Bitcoin. So now imagine we go and do a lot of trading with each other, and we say that each time we will go and we will if we do a trade, we need to make a settlement on the base layer. That's very expensive. We need to spend a lot of money. Why don't we open a payment channel with each other? So maybe I need to pay more to you, so we can have an agreement as to how much of money we want to lock in. But let's say I say that I'll lock in 1 Bitcoin, you lock in half Bitcoin. Now that gets locked into a payment channel, which means there is only one transaction on the Bitcoin layer that doesn't have any output. It just means this much amount of balance will get locked into a 2x2 multi-signature wallet to be later released. Right now, neither I can use it nor you can use it. I mean, in the base layer, it's locked. So now we open a payment channel with each other. Now, this payment channel is simply basically we signing data packets with each other or receipts with each other. So suppose out of this one Bitcoin, now I need to suppose you have a cafe and I'm always going and buying cafe at your place, and I'm going to buy every day I buy a little bit of cafe, fraction of a Bitcoin. I have one Bitcoin locked in. So every day, maybe if it's a couple of maybe 50 cents worth of Bitcoin, I'm just buying from you. So each time I make the transaction, I sign that transaction and I send it to you, and you keep your wallet basically maintains a copy of that receipt. So I can keep on sending infinite transactions every day to you, and only your wallet and my wallet needs to have a copy of that. Now, the question is, this will eventually be completely free because it's just my computer directly sending a message to your computer. Nothing is recorded on the blockchain. On the base layer, we still have that 1.5 Bitcoins locked. We are so we are not closing the channel. Maybe if 1 year or 2 year down the line, so it can work both ways. I can send you money and you can send me money, and we can keep exchanging these private messages, and nobody else needs to know about it. No, there's no blockchain explorer that anyone else. So it's also maintains our privacy. We can be completely privately doing this trading, and maybe 2 years down the line, we decide that let's now close the payment channel, and at that time we can do a settlement, and then the settlement can be done at the base layer. Now, the way the system works is that if I have an intention of committing a fraud, suppose every time I'm making a payment to you, suppose I have spent all of these 1 Bitcoins to you, and now you own 1.5 Bitcoin, but I commit a fraud and I make a fraudulent transaction on the base chain saying that I'm closing the channel. You have my receipts. You can always challenge me and you can say, see, I have the signed receipts from Anish, and that way you can actually get back all the Bitcoin. So this is how the process works. So definitely no one can commit a fraud in this process. This is a pictorial depiction of how it actually looks. When we have a channel, we can make those, you can think of it as an abacus with beads moving around from left to right, right to left. And if I have depleted all of my my balance, then I cannot send you any money, because if I have spent all that 1 Bitcoin, then the channel gets closed. But what is interesting about the Lightning Network is that it's not only that I have a channel with you. You can open a channel with someone else. Maybe Florbella, you have a channel with Ricardo. Now, if I want to transfer some money to you, my wallet will search which is the shortest route to route that payment. So maybe it identifies you already have a channel with Florbella. Florbella has a channel with Ricardo. So if I want to make a payment to Ricardo, maybe I'll just send it to you, and you will, on your other channel with Ricardo, you will send him, and you become a routing agent. You become a routing node. And in return for that routing node, you can charge a very small fee. So now it becomes very interesting for you to provide liquidity on the network, because every routing node can charge a very small fee for routing other people's networks. And then ultimately, as the networks can grow larger and larger and larger, it becomes like a crisscrossing web. It becomes a huge web where a lot of liquidity is getting deployed, and by the principle of 6 degrees of separation. Anyone knows what is 6 degrees of separation? If anyone will just open your mic and you can tell the answer.
No.
Okay. Okay. If nobody knows,
Like in
then I'll tell you.
Facebook, you were telling, like in social media, they tell with 6 degree, you know everyone in the world. You're connected.
Okay. Exactly. So in 6 degrees, we can connect. If I know a friend and he knows a friend and a friend of a friend, so ultimately it takes just 6 hops, and I can reach to anyone on the planet. So the same thing eventually works with Lightning Network also, that 6 is like the maximum. Usually 2 or 3 hops, you will be able to reach anyone on the network. So let me show you through this graph. Now, if I want to send to someone else, I can either directly route it, but if my channel is depleted, that money can be routed through someone else. And the wallets are designed to do all kinds of operations in order to balance the liquidity. So there are lots of route optimization, like for instance, how the internet packets work. When we are speaking with each other, our video streams are being cut into small packets and being sent across various networks. And there are lots of routing algorithms working and trying to optimize those data packet flows. So here, money flow on the Lightning Network works something like that. If it's a large amount, it may even be divided into smaller packets, and multiple channels, multiple pathways might be taken to reach to the destination. And these algorithms, the wallets are getting smarter and using a lot of different kinds of routing algorithms. But what is more interesting about the Lightning Network is that unlike in a blockchain, what happens is that when you have more people using it, the blockchain gets fuller, and then you need to compete with each other. Or either you need to increase the block size, so you centralize it, or it becomes more expensive and slow. But the interesting thing about Lightning Network is that the more money gets deployed, there are more pathways, more channels for the money to flow. That means you have more optionality. Now you have, instead of going through one node, you have probably 10 options. And then if a node is charging a lot, you might choose a cheaper node. So Florbella, yeah, you raise your hand, please.
Yes, I have 2 questions. One
Yes.
is, why should you use me instead of going directly to Ricardo? Which is the advantages to do that? And another one is, once there are money outside of the main chain circulating, like an open current account, something like this, how the other people that is in the main chain will know how much money we have, in fact?
Okay, very good questions. Good question. First thing is, why would I go through you rather than opening a direct channel? I can open a direct channel with everyone in the world. There's nothing stopping it. But to open a direct channel, each time a channel is made, I need to make a Bitcoin transaction at the base layer, which has certain costs. Okay, so the fact that we can go through each other means once we establish a few channels, maybe 2 or 3 channels, we can, through our partner channels, reach to everyone. That means we don't have all the costs of doing transactions on the base layer. So this is the primary reason. And this is what makes Bitcoin very scalable. But the second thing is, as you see here in this example, when we have locked this 1 Bitcoin and half Bitcoin, the maximum I can send you on this payment channel is 1 Bitcoin. And once you have 1.5 Bitcoins, then I have exhausted it. So we cannot do more transactions than the amount of Bitcoin that we have locked on the base chain. So essentially, all the balances that happen in the Lightning, it's not an abstraction. It's not that you are now creating new Bitcoins to be transacted to be settled later. No, all the balances on the Lightning Network reflect the balances on the base layer, which is what makes it very interesting, that you have a second layer scalable solution, but you are ensuring that those 21 million Bitcoins are the ones that are being sent. You cannot spend something that you haven't locked on the base layer. So I hope I answered both your questions.
Yes, Anish, perfectly. Thank you very much.
Great.
Anish,
So now,
can I ask?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So when you use a Lightning wallet, you block your some amount of your Bitcoin, right? But you can use several wallets, but for each one you need to lock differently, right?
For each channel, something has to be locked. It can be either I lock or maybe I need to receive, suppose as an employer who is opening a channel with me, I need to receive my salaries from him. I can lock 0 from my side and maybe 10 from his side. And initially when we open the channel, but then because we have a route, often what might happen is now I have received 2 months of salary, but now my employer needs to receive money from someone else. And the wallet identifies that now because I have liquidity channel with my employer, it might actually, and I have another channel with maybe one exchange. So maybe that exchange gives me some funds on the other channel, and from my channel I might be giving back to the employer. But all of this is managed under the hoods by the protocol, so I don't need to be aware. I'll just see a balance, and that's all that I care. And if I have this liquidity locked in, I can also earn a small amount, a small fraction, based on the liquidity that I'm providing to everyone on the network. So
Right.
and
Also,
and
can you
this
tell the difference in the cost, like when you are when you are transferring from like on the Bitcoin network, how much is the
Yeah.
difference? I know it, but I
The
think it
cost.
should be the
Did you
cost
say the cost?
compared to when
Yeah.
you are using Lightning network.
So let me give you an example. If I have a channel with you, Zahere,
Mhm.
basically you and me are exchanging a data packet. So what should be the cost of that data packet if we have a direct channel?
0 or very
0.
cheap.
Exactly. If I have a channel through you to someone, maybe it's a very fraction. It can be fractions of cents, or it can be 0. If you are doing constant transactions, you can even open a channel. If I am interacting with a gaming application or an app, I can most likely I'll open a direct channel and the cost would be 0, which is why its adoption is growing at a very fast rate for various applications. Pedro Henriques, you're raising a hand, please.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Nish, just one thing. The Lightning Network definitely brings great stuff, but if we're starting to do some transactions off-chain, won't this just start to make Bitcoin more similar to other protocols, per se?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Other protocols, because that's the biggest advantage, to do things cheaper and quicker. But I don't know. I believe that it kind of defeats the purpose of the whole security purpose of Bitcoin.
Not really, because here ultimately what is happening is a peer-to-peer transaction. So if you are ensuring that you are holding the security of your wallet and your peer is holding, that's what is important for you. If you are doing it in another, like for example, let's say you have Ethereum and then you have a second layer of Ethereum. Now that itself is another blockchain. So now you have a less decentralized blockchain that probably has very few nodes. Suppose you are using Binance Smart Chain. It's basically run by one company. Now all your assets are being dependent on that one company. Here you are actually opening peer-to-peer channels, and your money is still being held by you and by your own wallet. And you are not, if you are using a non-custodial wallet, you are not actually giving it to a third party or having another company responsible for you. I mean, you can use a wallet provider, but as long as the wallet is open source and it can be checked that the protocol is not trying to steal your funds, you can, it's a completely different model over here, because this is fully decentralized. Each node, each individual is responsible for maintaining the receipts of those Lightning payment channels. So that's what makes it a peer-to-peer, true peer-to-peer network, which is a big advantage. And this has certain other effects. The biggest advantage here is the network effect. Because what is network effect? Anyone can give me a definition of network effect? Anyone, just open your mic, and because I want this class to be
It's like that classic environmental set. if a butterfly opens the wings over Asia, may cause a hurricane over America, something like this?
No, a network effect. So basically, what it means is
Anish,
So like
that
higher.
most.
Anish,
Yeah.
sorry. I Google it, and in Investopedia, refers that the network effect refers to the concept that the value of a product or service increases when the number of people who use the product or the service increases also.
Exactly. So what Mario was speaking was about the butterfly effect. That's a different concept. But the network effect is what we see on most of the digital products. For example, Facebook or any social media network. It's useless if I'm the only one over there. Okay, but when my friend joins in, it becomes more useful. When more people join it, it becomes more valuable for everyone. Now, what's the problem with blockchain? As more people join in, it becomes more heavy. Of course, it becomes useful. On one hand, you are actually having more people to transact with, but on the other hand, at a technology level, your chain is getting more heavy. So you're actually finding it's getting more expensive, and that's actually quite the opposite of a network effect. But in the Lightning Network, as more people join in, as more people put in more liquidity, you can transact cheaper and faster because you need to go through these payment channels. And if those payment channels have only a small amount of Bitcoin locked in, you will not be able to send a big amount. So that's why Lightning Network is basically a network for smaller amount of transactions. So even today, if you want to send 10 to 20,000 euros worth of transactions, they'll go in fine. But if you want to suddenly send $1 million worth of Bitcoins, the Lightning Network still it doesn't have that much liquidity. Zabia, please.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about this actually. So, if we look at it in a general, more in a wider way, if we want to think about this network, is there a limitation for the flow of the liquidity that we are having in the future? Would it be like something restricting this as we are thinking about decentralization? So it can be, I don't know, open resource. So is there any limitation or?
Actually, it's quite to the contrary. So as more people lock in more funds or start using Lightning Network more, you are actually being a node to route other people's money. So you have more options, more channels. The channel size becomes thicker. So you actually get more network effect. That's why it's a very scalable model. As you have more people joining the network, it becomes faster and cheaper to transact for everyone. So that's why it's very interesting. And the most important thing is it's not only fully censorship resistant because everything is happening on a peer-to-peer basis, but it ensures complete privacy because all of the Lightning Network channels are maintained by peers. You don't have the transaction actually being signed on the base blockchain, so you have full privacy over here. So it's going to be impossible to actually check who transacted whom. So if you are someone who believe and want privacy, this is the ultimate in terms of privacy here.
Can I ask a question, Anish?
Yeah.
But when you settle the transactions after a certain time on the base layer, you are disclosing the data.
When you are settling on the base layer, you are only doing a final settlement, and so only the final settlement will be shown. And but you might have 1 million transactions, you might be routing 1 billion other transactions, and you'll only do the final balance of settlements for those two parties when you close one particular channel. So with that, it's very hard to figure out what actually happened. This you can see the growth in terms of number of nodes in the Lightning Network, the channels, network capacity, and you can see it's been growing very, very steadily. I'll leave this. this graphic and these links so you can look at it further. Now, let's start looking at what are the implications of the Lightning Network, because there's a lot of development activity happening on. One of the interesting product, Florbella, I saw your hand. Sorry, Florbella, you may ask a question.
Yes, just a quick question. Where the money will be clean? I mean, regarding the AML and FCT regulation, once almost everything is anonymous, will the money?
You cannot have AML and KYC regulations, and that's the ethos of Bitcoin. So that's the whole movement, blockchain and decentralization, is towards actually having a decentralized and as much privacy as possible. And why we are talking about that? It's not that the bulk of the people want to be cheating or be gangsters or money launderers. But let's look at the reality of the world today. Half of the world is sanctioned. Half of the population are completely cut off from any kind of economic activity. And you can imagine this actually connects the world together, despite whatever your political issues, despite whatever. Now you can be a person. I know we have so many people from sanctioned countries. We have members from Iran, Syria, Lebanon. How many? Well, I don't know if from any other sanctioned countries, but imagine if you are a individual there. Now you can build a product. You can connect to Lightning. You can immediately access to global finance and funding, and you can start your own business, and that's incredibly empowering. And actually, it's the best way to bring down the dictators, because once you start using the Bitcoin money, the dictators, how they survive because of the fiat money systems in these countries, and they are the first ones that are going to be hit together. So I understand there are some concerns, and I don't think in Western countries everything is going to move to Bitcoin. But the fact that we do not have KYC actually is a boon in many regards. But anyways, let's yeah, Zabia, please.
So in this case, if you are saying that it's not related to fiat money, so but when you are buying this crypto or these tokens, you are actually paying money for this. So people with this big amount of fiat, either they are politicians or whoever, they will be able to control and somehow to have these assets.
Suppose
Crypto.
Zabia, suppose you have a friend who is a developer or a programmer in Syria.
Yeah.
Now he can develop and work. He cannot receive money internationally through normal channels. It's very difficult. But through Bitcoin, he can be instantly paid. So he does not need to buy. He can earn. There are ways by which you can actually earn money, because what we are talking about is creating a Bitcoin-based economy eventually.
Yeah, but somehow there will be always this categories of people who are buying and people who are earning. In this case, they also can control who are working. There will be these suppliers and those who are taking. So in any cases, they can play with this, because imagine somebody who's having, I don't know, a big amount of fiat and they're buying crypto. So they are capable of changing.
Nice. No, it would be really good if a millionaire buys more Bitcoin, like all of us will be richer with his money.
That's why we have, for the first time in history, a network where ordinary people like you and me have the opportunity to start developing and working and being on this network, this monetary network, before the really rich guys come in. And let me tell you, the really rich guys are still not yet aware of the rise of Bitcoin. So we still have that opportunity. And someone else was raising a hand, but I couldn't see the name.
That was me.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I wanted to ask that the people who are connecting on this Lightning Network, like, they are still strangers, right? You can't know who is who on the network. Because from
No,
your
it's
initial
anonymous.
explanation, okay, it's anonymous. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's move a little bit
Like the
faster.
normal peer-to-peer. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and we will leave the discussions. We will have time for discussions later. If not today, we have other days also to continue. Now, this is a very interesting app by Jack Mallers, Strike. What he identified that from United States, there were a lot of immigrants who had to send money to countries in Latin America and in Africa. So what this does is converts dollars, buys Bitcoin on the Lightning, immediately sends the Lightning on the other country, and then converts it back to the local fiat. So this the Lightning Network is actually helping international transactions for almost free. And this is a very interesting project. If you're interested, you can go and look at it. But there will be other applications of Lightning, that because the possibility that we can send money instantly to each other is simply mind-blowing. Now, before we go further, what I would like you to do is I would like you to have a demo. You can go to your Play Store, and if you have an Android, I don't know if it's in Apple, and you can download the Muun Wallet, MUUN. Let me show you. I don't know if you can see my 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 mobile screen. Just give me a second. Okay, so this wallet, Muun. Second. So this is the wallet, MUUN. This is one of the very interesting Bitcoin wallets,
You have it
Bitcoin
in App
Lightning
Store.
wallets. You have an App Store, okay?
Yeah.
So you have an App Store, you have an Android.
Yes,
I would
you-
definitely recommend you to download this Muun Wallet, and I would ask for a volunteer to whom I will make my my Bitcoin Lightning transaction to demonstrate how it works. Well, eventually I can do it for all, but for now I'll just. So who is it that can download and install it first? Just tell me. You will be my volunteer for the demonstration.
Me?
Ricardo is
I
a
have
volunteer.
it.
Ricardo is
I
waiting for
have
his
it.
satoshis.
I have it already.
Ricardo, you have
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe you, while you're doing it, if you can also show to everyone how your screen looks like when you just
Yeah.
create
Again,
your
I have 0 Bitcoin.
you have 0 Bitcoin. Okay. Now, what's the beauty of this? Let me just share my screen 1 second.
Right. So, so what to do here?
So have you? So the thing is, it's very intuitive. When you set it up, it just gets set up. You don't need any KYC. You don't need anything for that. And let me just see, because my phone was just hanging. Yeah. So here you can see I have 14,302 Satoshi. Now, those of you who might be wondering what is a Satoshi? Satoshi is 10 to the power -8 of a Bitcoin. That means if you put 8 decimal places, so it's 0.000000001 Bitcoin is 1 Satoshi. So that's the smallest unit. Now, the beauty of this is that when I click on the receive button here, when I click on the receive, it shows me 2 tabs. It shows me the Bitcoin and it shows me Lightning. So this is trying to take away the abstraction, in the sense when I see my balance, I see my total balance. It doesn't separate it as in how much money I have on the base chain, how much money do I have on the Lightning chain, because ultimately, if you want the world to adopt it, all of this these complexities of technicality needs to be taken away from the user. like we don't know how TCP/IP is working when we are dealing with our mobile app. But what they have is they have given a Lightning option and a Bitcoin option. So Ricardo, I would suggest you go to the Lightning.
Yeah.
You click on the Lightning.
Yeah.
And you click on the
Copy.
share
I'm
invoice
sharing with
settings.
you via Telegram. Okay.
Okay. You're just
I'm sharing the QR code via Telegram. You want Telegram or WhatsApp?
you can just send me the address on Telegram. Just click copy
Okay.
and send me the
Yeah.
Lightning address.
I'm sharing it right now.
Okay.
Okay. You have it already there.
Okay. So I have it here. Yeah.
I was doing that. Okay. Share.
Okay. So it's a long address. 1 second. Let me just go to my mobile.
I'm waiting to be reached now.
Okay, just give me a second. Copy. Five. Okay, so just so you can see, I click on the send button. I paste the Lightning address that Ricardo has sent.
Yeah.
I click on
Public
continue.
address.
And now it's asking me how much Satoshis do I want to send. And
you can send 1,000. Kidding, eh?
And I click on send. Okay. And Ricardo, just tell me if you have received anything.
Okay, I receive 0.0000001 Bitcoin.
Yeah, can you show your screen?
Sure.
So this is what I paid him. I paid him 1 Satoshi, and 1 Satoshi is not even 1 cent. It's like 0.00001 cent. And I paid him for free of cost. It basically didn't charge me anything. So this is the beauty of this network, because you cannot send such a small amount, such a tiny, infinitesimally small amount to someone just on the other side of the world instantly without any transaction fees. And this has huge implications for all kinds of applications, because now you could be basically streaming small, tiny bits of monetary units that are too small for any legacy system to use. Anyways, there is also another application that I want you all to install. It's called Alby. Let me share my screen now.
If you want to send me some addresses, I can send part.
Yeah, no, what I want you to do is open your Chrome and get this Alby browser extension.
Anish,
Because
just download in the computer, not in the cell phone, right?
This one is in the computer. Yeah. Moon Wallet is
the other one, the Moon one, I download in my phone. But now this one you wanted to download in the computer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Moon Wallet tomorrow during intervals, I'll be making small transactions to everyone, so you all can experiment with it. But this one now, I would like you to install this Alby wallet extension, because this is a very interesting Lightning wallet, but it has another very important function which will be seen, which will be what I'll be explaining now on. So here, if you see, you need to go getalby.com, as you can see on my computer. You can go there and click on this button. You should be opening on Chrome, because I don't know if it works on other browsers, but this is a Chrome browser extension. Now, this is a very interesting Chrome extension, because this is a Bitcoin wallet, and this also handles your public-private keys for many other applications other than Lightning, which I will be explaining you soon. But you can do it, and you can set up, and it'll ask your email, and it'll send you a confirmation and all. Once you have that, or what I could do is maybe you can just see my demonstration, and after that you do it yourself, and we can practice this later. So what is interesting is, see, I have this GetAlby extension here. I can easily click here on, so this is my GetAlby Lightning address. I can click on receive. I can now, the way Lightning payments work is that I can send a Lightning invoice. So if I want to receive money, I can create a Lightning invoice. I can say I want to receive 10 Satoshis. I can send whom, I can put a description, and I can create an invoice, and it creates this invoice, and I can copy and send him. Let me show you how this works in another way. So you all are aware of Kraken. Kraken is one of the most popular exchanges. So I'll be sending money from Kraken to my Alby wallet, and I'll show you how it works. So for those of you who want to buy euros, or if you haven't yet bought your Bitcoin, do go to Kraken and create your account. It's one of the most reputed exchanges where Guilherme works. And I have a authenticator code for logging in. So you can see how the exchange Kraken works, and how the Alby Lightning Network also works here. So when I go to Kraken, because I put this additional security as an authenticator, I will put the code from my mobile app, and I will enter my Kraken account. So as you can see, this is the pro version of Kraken. Kraken has a more simplified interface for the noobs. Noob, anyone knows what's a noob? No? Okay, noob is someone who is like a novice. It's just a crypto slang terminology.
A newcomer, Anish.
Okay, so now you hear. So when you go here, when you want to make your first euro deposit, you can go to deposit. You can select euro, and then you can either pay through PayPal, which has a fees, or you can choose a payment through a bank account. It's going to give you some instructions, some IBAN address, and so on. And it takes probably 1 or 2 days for the money to reach there. Once you have the money, see, I can check my portfolio. Here is my portfolio on Kraken. I have about equivalent. This is my equivalent money, $1,400, and mostly in Bitcoin. And I can see I don't have any euros, but if you have euros, it will be showing here as euros. Now, just to give you an overview, those of you who have seen my video already know probably that this is the order book. These are the buys in the green, and in the red are the sells. This is how you can make a limit order, or you can make a market order. This I had already explained in the recap videos. I'm not going over all of that, but just for you to be familiar with the interface. Now, what I want to do is I want to take out some money from my Bitcoin on my Kraken account. I have already bought Bitcoin here now, but now I want to take self-custody. Now, when I want to withdraw, it gives me the option how I want to withdraw. I can either withdraw to a Bitcoin base layer, which is, of course, if I'm storing large amounts of money, I don't want to be using Lightning Network. I will buy a hardware wallet. I'll create an address there. It has a small transaction fee. Okay, but Lightning Network transactions are basically having no fee here. So I'll select here Lightning. Now in my GetAlby wallet, I want to receive here. I'll create a Lightning invoice. I want to receive 1,000 Satoshi, which is basically 32 cents. And for whom? I'll just put a note. Okay, Anish Kraken. And I'll create the invoice. And now I have copied the invoice. I'll basically go and put it in my Kraken here, and I will request, I'll preview the withdrawal. Okay. Because I have put a lot of securities on my Kraken account, it will send me an email on my Gmail, which I will need to go and validate. Okay, confirm your withdrawal. I will need to confirm. Okay, now it's approved. Now here I go and click on confirm withdrawal. I need to put my Kraken authenticator code again, 902-337. Okay, so your withdrawal is being processed. Okay, it's now sometimes the exchange might take a little bit of time to make this transaction, because it's saying still pending. It's not because the Lightning Network is slow, it's because the software of the exchange has some delays in terms of processing the payments. But when this pending, yeah, it says success. Let me see. See, I have received that 1,000. So I that transaction in the Anish Kraken. So this is the last transaction I received. This is the interesting thing about GetAlby. But another interesting thing about Alby is that it works with the protocol that is known as the Nostr protocol. And so let me go a little bit into the theory of this before we start demonstrating what the Nostr protocol is. Oh, I forgot to tell you, there are also certain other innovations happening on the Bitcoin. One of the innovations here is that if you want to hold your Bitcoin, we all know we need to store and lock seed phrases, and that's a little bit hard for everyone. Not everyone is comfortable with it. So this is a very interesting startup called Fedimint that allows a community. So you might happen that you can create a community. Your community might mean you, maybe your parents, or your son, or your uncle, or some relative, or some members of the village. You can create a private community, and then you can give rights. That suppose you forget your seed phrase, or you forget your password, so you can involve members of your community who can help you recover back your seed phrase. So there are these projects going on to make self-custody more easy for people. So this was an interesting project. I'm not going into the more details of that. Moon Wallet, you've already now tested and experimented it. Alby Wallet, you will experiment it. But now let's come to the next big actually use case. It's not of Bitcoin. So here, let's talk about the other big issue in the world today, and that's all of the internet. The internet was supposed to be an open, peer-to-peer, decentralized network. That's why it was built on open protocols. One of the examples of an open protocol is the email. The email, when it was created as an open protocol that anyone can set up a server, and using the same standard can send emails to each other. That's why I can open an email today on Gmail, and you can be on Hotmail, and someone else can be on another service provider, and we can continue sending emails to each other, because the email is based on a protocol, and that's why you cannot have a full monopolization. Imagine if a company would come and create email and say, now you need to have an account only with my company, and that's the only way you can have access to email. What would that world look like? It would be a highly monopolized world. But what happened with time is ultimately the internet today is fundamental for our communication, for our society, for our survival, because as we live in a globalized society, we consume content from each other, we create content from each other. In fact, we know that the legacy media is dying. We know the mainstream media is dying, because the mainstream media has only one agenda to show you, and people are tired of seeing every day, opening the TV, there is this war going on, that war going on. People no longer consume the mainstream media. So what do I consume? I consume a lot of content. I consume a lot of content that enhances my knowledge, and it's created by individuals like me. They are not, sometimes, most of them are not people sitting in big media houses. No, they are individuals who have something interesting to say. And that's why YouTube, it's a very interesting creation. And Twitter, it's a very interesting, it's like a town hall for the world, for the globe. And these things perform a very vital societal function. But the irony is that the way these social media networks have evolved is that they have become completely centralized. They are being owned by a private company whose motive is profit driven. And because their motive is profit driven, they need to now please whoever is in power in the government and so on. And I can cite you so many different examples if you have not yet realized that how the digital media is designed to manipulate and form public opinions. It can be in various aspects, right from the time of Iraq war, when social media was not there. The mainstream media was there to manipulate opinion, to get people to provide support for the war in Iraq, where 1 million people died and so much of destruction happened on a lie, based on a lie. And the same thing we see now. We see whether it's the Ukraine war, there are so many journalists who are reporting from the other side who have been completely banned, who have been completely silenced. So you get only one version of the truth. I'm not telling that that version is false, but you block the other truth and you give only one version, and that's to manufacture consent for war. Same thing is happening. So many content creators who go against whether it's anytime there is a divisive, whether it's a political issue. So many, for example, so many people got banned in the US when they were raising issues that was contrary to the Democrats' line of thinking. And now when Elon Musk has bought Twitter, now you are having the Republican side given more. The issue is not whether you are on the Republicans or the Democrats, whether you're on the left or the right, whether you're on this government or that government. The issue is that these networks should not be monopolized. They need to be built on certain open standards. Government interference is a big issue. It happens more subtly. Sometimes we are not aware of in our part of the world. And in places like China, it's outright banned. Social media banned, Facebook banned. Content creators who today, content creation is basically a occupation for many people. Spend years creating content, and when their content is deplatformed simply because the media house doesn't like it, completely it's contrary to the principles of democracy. Revenue stream today, you do not have a lot of ways or too many ways through which, if you're a content creator, how you can make revenue. You're only dependent on ad revenue from YouTube. These legacy business models can be reinvented. There's a lot of scope for that. So this is basically the problem statement. And so I can bring it down to problems in 3 levels. First is identity management. We are dependent on certain private company to manage our identity. We can be removed, deplatformed. We do not own our identity. The storage, all our messages, all our thoughts, all our communications, all our video is stored in one company. So that means we are now at the helm and interest and decision of one company. Our years of worth of value, especially if we are content creators, and eventually I think in a world going forward, we all should be content creators because we all have thoughts. That's what a sovereign individual, sovereign creative individual always has something of value to share, and that's what social network is for. So we all will be eventually content creators. And then the payment models are broken. So now what are the alternatives around that? The Nostr protocol is one such effort, and it is gaining traction at a phenomenal phase. And it's primarily led by a lot of people in the Bitcoin community space. So how does this work? Now, if I today take an example of Twitter, when I open my Twitter page, I am seeing a very nice looking interface. And that interface has been designed to make it interesting for me to interact. I have my like button, I have my share button, I have all of these aspects. And then at the back end of the company, there is a server, that runs a database that's storing everyone's messages. Now, Nostr protocol is about democratizing it all. It means first thing is you break down this paradigm. You break down the front end from the back end. So the back end in the Nostr protocol are basically relays. So these relays are data storage servers that are storing the data. And then the front end is the client. Now, when you separate the concept of back end and front end using an interoperable protocol, what it means is that anyone can run a relay. So a relay can be a public server that someone can run. But today, there are several relays being run. Many of them are public. Okay, some of them are free. Some of them are paid. So the users need to pay some sort of a subscription fee for running. And what a relay essentially is doing is providing a space to store messages being transmitted using the Nostr protocol. A Nostr protocol or a Nostr event is a very simple message. Anyone who wants to use the Nostr protocol can transmit messages. Their client can transmit messages. The message simply contains their identity. Okay, so this is their identity, their public key. Now, all of you are aware of what's a public key and what's a private key. Private key is something that you sign a transaction. Public key is basically your identity. So if you want to send a Twitter-like message or any kind of message or a video or a content or any information, you will basically transmit your public key. You'll transmit your created time, date. You'll put the category, what kind of content. There is a classification system. Is it a tweet? Is it a video? Is it a private chat message? Is it some kind of a secure private information? You can put your tags and metadata. You'll put the content that can be information. And then with your private key, you are going to make a signature, a digital signature, and send that digital signature with your message. Very simple, similar to how Bitcoin transactions are actually transmitted. Anyone in any relay that's going to receive your message through your signature can verify whether this message has actually been sent by this public key or not. So is it someone faking to be you, or is it you? That can be verified. And if it's a false signature, the relays will simply reject them. Now comes to the interesting part. Now, what happens at the front end? At the front end, you have different clients. Now, a client is now separated from the relay and the messaging itself. So so today there are around 15 or 20 clients created by different developers, and they all have a different interface. They have different functionality. They have different features. But ultimately, I can move from one client to another client, and I can take all my messages. I can take all my followers. If one client doesn't like me, he can block me, and I can move to another client. So I have now full interoperability between clients. Clients is the front end. So clients can be web clients. Clients can be mobile applications. Client can be desktop clients. So for instance, Damus is one of the most popular client on iOS. If you have an iOS phone, I would definitely recommend you to use that. And Amethyst is another very popular client on Android. And in my experience, because this is still very early days of the development of this protocol, now I can set up my client to broadcast on multiple relays. I can broadcast in 2 or 3 relays. Some relays may have some policy on blocking me, and they can put some content moderation, so they can block me, but that cannot stop me from transmitting on other relays. So I can, for instance, Bob in this case, on relay 1, he has write and read access. So he has a copy of all his content on relay 1, while at the same time, he has a copy on relay 2. Now, Alice is using relay 2 to read. So she can get all of Bob's message. Mary is reading also from relay 2. Okay, so she can get, but Mary is writing only to relay 3. So Bob cannot get any of the messages put on relay 3. Now, this may look a little bit complicated, but actually it's a very, very simple protocol, because you can have now the optionality to transmit over multiple relays, and you will have now new business models emerging where some businesses will focus simply on running relays. That will be their business, and their business will be to have the most high performance relays which can provide the highest scalability. And that's another business. You're breaking down. It's like when we broke the electricity into transmission, distribution, production, we broke the entire electric networks. Those who are familiar with it, probably Ricardo Pacheco will be familiar with it. We are now breaking down. Yes, Pedro, please.
Sorry, just a question. I didn't get it. What's the incentive for nodes to relay that data? Sorry.
What's the relay incentive for nodes for relays to run?
To relay the data. What's the incentive for them to keep it running?
Yeah. So as of now, today, there are lots of public relays which are run by enthusiasts. Okay, so they do not have any direct monetary incentive today. Okay. But there are some relays that are charging the users for subscription. So some are free, some are paid. Obviously, the paid relays have much better capacity in terms of storing videos, and they have much more high capacity. But the interesting thing is that new business models will emerge, and this is something that I'm going to be talking about. But let me explain the protocol itself now, and then we're going to go into the business model.
And
now, anyone who wants,
just before you explain, can you give one example? Like, suppose client one is similar to YouTube, to just share the videos. So if, right, like, and then if the server blocks me, relay one blocks me, I move to relay two, but still I'm on same client, right?
So you can have either a relay blocking you, or you can either have a client blocking.
Oh, okay.
Right? But the optionality is there for you to move from one client to another. Now, of course, there is an open competition amongst different clients to provide you the best experience. So most of them want to block spam. They will want to have some policy to block hate mail. Otherwise, and there are many ways, but I'll give the demonstration. I'll give some demonstrations of the clients, but the protocol is so
open. But what happens to my content? I can move my content.
So your content is broadcasted over different relays. And if you want, you can even host your own relay in your home. You can choose to have on your own, next to your own router, you can buy a 1 terabyte hard disk, run a relay of your own, and you can configure that all your communication, for instance, a copy of that can be stored on your own relay. So if suppose someone deletes, or all the relays end up deleting you can still have that option. And there will be in the future certain relays that will be providing relay as a service. So just bear with me, because once I go to show examples, these things will become more clearer. But the other interesting thing is that this whole Nostr protocol is built with the Bitcoin Lightning Network integrated into it, which means now you can create environments where users can zap money to each other. Zap is the equivalent of likes on the Nostr protocol. So if you like someone, you can press the like button, or if you want, you can zap a fraction of a penny. You liked a video, you can zap a little bit of money to that person. So it's creating a entirely new business models around the economics of it. And Jack Dorsey, who was a co-founder of Twitter, he still owns a large share of Twitter. He's been a big supporter of the Nostr protocol, and he has actually donated a lot of funds to developers developing on the Nostr protocol, because he really believes in the. In fact, he believes that Nostr protocol could actually be what was his initial vision of Twitter before it got captured by the VC industry. So this is I'm putting a link of Web5, where he has promoted certain open standards for decentralized identity, decentralized web nodes, and so on. But I'm not going too much into it. It'll be something there for your reference reading. But let me just jump into showing you the clients, because rather than me explaining, when I show you something, it will be much more clear for you. So For those who are on iOS, I'll recommend you to try out Damus, or Android, you can try Amethyst. But let me try Snort. So Snort is one of the clients. Now, what is interesting here is, let me sign out of Snort. So now I have signed out of Snort. When I click on login, it's very simple. You can either create a new account. Creating a new account means simply creating a new public-private key pair. And then it's your job, your duty, of course, to keep your private key secure, because that's the only way you can log in. There is no KYC, there is no other way. Now you can use something like a Nostr extension. So the Alby wallet that I had shown you is also a Nostr extension. It works for both ways. And this is what makes it interesting, because it can manage your private keys. So here, if you see, I have my account here, and my public and private key is being managed by Alby. So I'm going to use the Alby Nostr extension to log into Snort, and I can use it to log into any other client. I can change my client. So the moment I click it, let me again sign out to show you. Okay, I have logged out. I reload Snort.social, click on login. I click on Nostr extension. It immediately logs me in because the extension is already installed. So I don't need to do anything. Now, this is, I've been just, since yesterday for the class, I've been creating some posts. I haven't been very active on Nostr, but I can see already a lot of people in the Bitcoins space are in. For example, I started following Jeff Booth. Jeff Booth was whose video I had shared. He's very active on Nostr. Another person that I follow is Jack himself, Jack Dorsey. Now, what's interesting is, so he is putting lots of challenge. He's putting a 10 million challenge to fund Bitcoin and Nostr development, and he's really behind this project. But what's interesting is, it's not about one company. Like Damus protocol, which became so popular on iOS, was created by one guy, and he could create it because he's basically leveraging on this interoperable protocol. And if I want to send Jack some money, I can send him. I can just click on his account and send him. So Tahere, you are also now on Nostr. So let me show you a demo. Let me send you a little bit of Satoshis. I'll try to zap you 50 Satoshis from Anish, and maybe you can confirm if you receive zap 50 Satoshis. It asks me for approval. Okay. And pay now. And it's paid. Maybe Tahere, you could verify if you have received that transaction. So this gives you an overview. Later on, you can...
laptop, I need some time to log in this.
Okay. No, but the interesting thing is that you can log in into another. For example, I'll open another client, Iris. Okay. Here is my Iris client, and I can access. Sometimes it takes time to upload the photos, and in fact, Iris client was not working too well, but the Damus and Amethyst clients were working pretty well. But the idea is that you can simply go and open another client or another application. And only thing is, you just need your private keys to migrate all of your profiles on there. So this opens up a lot of possibilities. Let's go now. Let's go now here to discuss a bit further. If during the break, if any of you are interested, you can try, or you can later try to create your own IDs and tell me if there is. Here also I have given a reference on how it works and how different clients are, so you can use this. But the interesting thing is, that Nostr is a very simple protocol that's basically stands for notes and other stuff transmitted over relays. That's basically the full form of Nostr, which means that it's just the beginning of this protocol, and over the next 5-10 years we will have a lot of different business models and use cases and applications coming out of it. The Twitter like application is probably just one of the application. Anything that requires information to be stored and shared in a decentralized way will find an application, and there will be so many entrepreneurs now, because now this is by default. The fact that it has this Lightning payment integrated, now you can have entrepreneurs all over the world who were starved of capital, who were they can start developing and building products. In fact, from South America, from many other countries where it would be very hard for them to build startups and businesses, over these open networks, they are now working and building their applications. So let me give you an example here. Highlighter, for example, it's another application built over the Nostr protocol. What it does is, now imagine if you've read a book, you found that book interesting, and you found a quote on that book which was very insightful. You can highlight that quote, and you can create your own social network, and you can create a discussion around it. And people who are now also interested in that book, they might participate in that discussion, share their ideas, and if they like your commentary, they might zap you money, and you might zap them money. And this opens up so many possibilities for monetization, because you could be a thought leader and have another way to directly receive money from your fans and followers. Then there is this Jester, which is another protocol that uses Nostr to play a chess game. I tried. I was playing the chess game on that. Well, Habla is a long form which is using the same protocol, but now used for long articles like Medium and Medium-like articles. Which means that that your relays can have different categories and different types of information, and your client can filter out. Your client, you can design a client just for a certain category or a certain type of article, and you can create a new protocol, a new business model around it. Nostragram, it's more like an Instagram type of. It's more like an Instagram.
So Anish, all of these application can be connected to same wallet.
Yes, when you have your public-private key, that makes it unique. As long as you have your private key, you can open any client, and that client can use and filter the kind of messages that it wants to show. Okay. You have a Twitch-like application called Zapstream, where people are having podcasts and commentary around that, which is a different data type. Let me warn you, of course, this is still early days, but the growth of Nostr has been like on a hockey stick. Over the last 1.5 years, it has had a hockey stick growth. And because it's open and so many people can now competitively build clients, it can open up lots of possibilities here. And now the question is, which was asked, what is the business model for the relays? Now that you can take the relay business and remove it out of the front-end client business. So the front-end client can focus on the usability, on what kind of use cases they want to develop. A relay business model is different. A relay basically is a data storage or a data warehouse or a data cloud service provider. It's simply doing that, but with a big difference. You do not have vendor lock-ins. You can choose multiple relays. You can choose one relays. You can choose your own relays. And now as the relay business model grows, there may be certain relays that may also have opened their own clients and find some way of cross monetization. There may be relays, because the cost of storage ultimately is going down exponentially. So they may find other business models around there. they might ask you to pay by storage, pay by size. So the amount of size you have, and it becomes very seamless because everything is now integrated with the Lightning Network. So so you can be asked to pay very small amounts. You can be asked to pay by event, and pay by event doesn't mean that you need to go and pull out your credit card or do something complex. No, you have a Lightning wallet, and it'll be just micro Satoshi, maybe fractions of pennies that you may not even notice. And or you can be asked to pay by admission. So ZBD is a company that I'm going to be exploring a lot. ZBD have built many open APIs for allowing different service providers and businesses to integrate Lightning payments within them. So this is something that we are going to be exploring. And now, what does this mean for business models for content creators on Nostr? So I know Ricardo knows Dr. Eric Berg, and Dr. Eric Berg has actually saved my life because I was having diabetes with severe nerve damage, and I was on the wheelchair for 10 months. And simply by following natural practices of Dr. Eric Berg, especially around the diets, and I, without needing any medication, anything, I completely healed my diabetes, and I am much fresher today. And it's shown by 11.1 million subscribers and lots of positive reviews that how many people have been benefiting from his advices. And he was recently, his channel was demonetized because he's giving advice contrary to the mainstream World Health Organization advice and so on. So, so this is just to show that it's not only about politics and political things. There are different content creators. They put a lot of time, efforts to create their content, and an open model actually benefits all of the content creators. Now, how is it that they can benefit? And this opens up a lot of new areas for even you to think of what new business models can be created. Because when Google's business model was created, it was locked into a closed network. And now there is this opportunity for entirely new business models to be thought out in the whole ad tech and the advertising industry. It could be one way was zapping. If I like his content, I can zap him like tips. In fact, the creator of Damus, he made a free client, and he earned so much money by simply donations through zapping. That's a big source of donation. Wikipedia runs through donation, but Lightning makes it all the more so easier. But you can now have zapping in a different forms. You can have zapping on a pay per minute way. They can you can have new business models where they can configure the first 2 hours every month is free, and then after that you are paying per minute based on how much of the content you listen to. And I don't mind because especially if it's a very small amount, I don't mind paying. But for if he has 11 million subscribers, that can be a huge revenue stream for him. It could be based on subscription models. The problem with advertising services is, especially today's world, that you get very much tied down to big interests and lobby groups who are actually the big advertisers. And that's what makes Google try to toe a very strict line. They will if someone is against some kind of a guideline, some kind of mainstream opinion, he won't have a chance. I'm not saying that we need social media. That's just a cesspot of all kinds of hate mail and hate speech and so on. But I also don't want a world where you have one company or one government agency regulating thought. Because, for instance, the EU recently passed the law for social media regulating content, and one of that is banning fake news. But what is fake news for the EU might be the truth for the other side in certain conflict-like situations. Or so I'd rather have it on a community-based way where with the optionality that you can move around, and that's a very big very important aspect. And then you can still have advertising based revenue services over this open network, and someone who comes up and reinvents Google based system where he can run in advertising from third party advertising agencies and have a revenue share model, that's fine. But that's an optionality for him. That's not the only way that that monetization can take place. And of course it brings in inclusion because it connects the whole world. Now we don't have half the world that's sanctioned, that's again blocked from this open decentralized. Ultimately it helps the individuals. It's not about helping governments, it's helping individuals, and that's what this movement is all about. I would before we go for break, I would also like to talk about another very interesting application, that was Zion. So Zion is a startup, and again, it was founded by Justin Rizvani, who is basically an Iranian immigrant in the United States. I listened to his podcast, very interesting guy, and he borrowed money from his dad to set up his business while he was in the apartment, and he grew this company called theamplify.com. And what this company does is that if you are an influencer, if you are a YouTube channel, you are an influencer, you have a community, you have a following, what this company does is connects these people with brands so they can do brand advertising and get paid for it. And he created this business, and he was very successful, grew very rich in one generation. He was sharing his story that how he paid 5% of his business back to his dad, and his dad could buy a new apartment, and completely transform his life. Very interesting podcast. If you want to listen, I can share with you. But then he realized problem with our payment systems is that it cannot scale, and that's why when he sold this company, the Amplify, he created the new company called Zion. And what is Zion about? It's basically taking the whole concept and helping content creators. So all kinds of, whether it's Tony Robbins, whether it's a lot of very famous, and they are actually Mark Moss, Tony Robbins. They are also the initial investors in his company. And the idea is very simple, that he can get these influencers to create a community in the Zion network, where his community members can come and participate with him, and he leverages the Bitcoin Lightning Network within that application. So unlike today, if you go on a YouTube page, you will see if you are famous, most of the comments are spam. They are scammers, or they are spammers, and that's very hard to get engagement with your community. But with the Zion network, they can get engagement into the community, and they can find new ways of monetizing it. But not only monetizing it, they can charge certain satoshis, for example, for entry into the network. They can have techniques like, for instance, to block spam. One of the most powerful techniques is that when you have a community, you can ask them to lock in a certain amount of satoshis, maybe equivalent of $20 or $30. If you are a fan, you will lock in, and that money is returned back to you after a month. If your comments, you can freely comment, but if your comments gets deleted or flagged by the creator, then you will lose your deposit. And Bitcoin Lightning payment makes it possible, which is a very strong way of defeating spam, because now the spammers will not go and spam. The only reason spammers will go and spam is if it's free for them. Along with that, there are new content monetization strategies that Zion is providing and leveraging for their fan bases. So it's a very interesting use case. I leave this for you to see further. I think it's time for a break. And so it's already 7:40, 8:10. We can come back. Yep. Anyways, if anyone has any question or comment before we go to break, yeah, we're open for that.
Probably, Anisha. I'm only sharing one thing for everyone to see regarding to what you said in the beginning. It will be less than 1 minute. Could be.
Sure, Ricardo.
Okay. I believe it is this one. Let me share. Please let me know if you are seeing my browser.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. What I did was I'm using the Albi. Okay.
Yeah.
I will put my my Bitcoin wallet on Moo, which already some of us created. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm doing continue. It's identifying it is a Bitcoin address. Okay. The minimum amount.
Okay.
The minimum amount to be transferred is minimum 100,000 Satoshi. I will put 30. Okay.
Maybe you have put the Bitcoin. You haven't put the Lightning address. Have you put the Lightning? And this is a Bitcoin address. That's why it's charging you a high fee. Because you're transacting.
But let me show you like this, and then I will put the other one because I can do fast forward. It's not so much. Yeah, that's why it's 177, 1.77.
Yeah.
Okay. Simple. We have here the information. What is the network fee? What is the service fee? And wow, not enough balance. This is normal. Let me get again, only to be sure that we are okay. Go. Let's put 120,000. Now I will have the money. Okay. Let's confirm. And in a couple of minutes, which will take some time. But in a couple of minutes,
this is on the.
I know, because it is on the base layer, not on the Lightning one. Okay. Then I will do again in the other side, and we can see it also. Okay.
Ricardo, when you do the Lightning invoice, you
I have
can
here. I can show you here. I can show you here. Okay.
Yeah.
This was a transaction based on the Lightning, as you see.
Okay.
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 Let me check.
You already did it.
Yeah. Let me check how is the transaction here. Okay, it was done. I have less cash here. Let me see how it is on my Moo.
Okay.
It's not yet here, but we will receive. But I will show you then. But what I did is quite simple, but I was not using the Lightning, as Anish was saying. I was using the base layer. But on the Lightning, it would be less expensive if I was using my address on the Lightning. Correct?
Many of the clients only allow you to make a payment because when you create a Lightning invoice, you need to specify the amount in the receiving wallet. So when you are creating it, you have to go to the settings, set up how many Satoshis you want to receive, and then create the invoice and then copy paste that link.
Yeah, but it's quite simple, as you see. And I was using my credentials and not credentials on a CeFi.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very simple and easy to use.
Indeed. Okay, I can show you. Remember, Anish sent me 0.00001. Okay. Now I have a lot of money.
I was very stingy, Ricardo.
You see, I have 0.0012. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now tomorrow I will share some. I will help you to. Me and Inez will helping you to create a Moo account, and then we can share it.
But the fact that you can stream such small amounts means it's very good for IoT applications because you have machines making settle.
You see?
Are you already received it all?
It's here. It's here.
Wow.
It was quite fast, Imagine, in Portugal, we are paying 1.5 plus tax to do a instant transfer. Okay, but imagine that I'm in another country which is not in Europe. I could pay probably between 8 to 10%. And I was not using Lightning. If I was using Lightning, it was Lightning fast and Lightning less expensive. Okay.
I think now participants are able to understand the value proposition, because as I said in the beginning, you are building on layers. When you have base layers of money and Lightning layers of money sorted out, then when you come to the applications, it's very easy, because when your payment systems are solved, you can build tons of applications on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's eat something.
Let's go for a break. So 7:45, let's 8:15 we can start again.
Okay,
See you.
thank you.
Thank you. See you.
See you.